Pop culture, media, and music. All of these topics have some similarities and differences, but today on Stray Rats, we'll dive deeper into the lore of all of them. Welcome to Stray Rats, the show where we talk about random or stray topics. I'm your host, Brooke Holzhauer. On this episode of Stray Rats, we'll delve into the interests of the WVTV crew. Our first guest we have here today is Jasira Gay.
Hey people! Hi.
Welcome, Jasira. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very happy to talk about, different things, and yeah, I'm ready to get started.
Yeah, I'm excited for this too. We're going to be discussing the pop culture of 2016, 2017 era. There's a lot that happened in those years.
Yeah.
So if you want to, start off with some topics.
Well, first off, I thought of the first thing I think of is probably challenges.
Yeah.
Just the whole genre of that, the cinnamon challenge. Ooh, that was so bad. Glozell choking on that cinnamon. That was crazy. And then they had the banana and Sprite challenge.
Oh my God.
All these challenges have so many things. The one thing they have in common, all of them are so dangerous.
Yeah.
Kylie Jenner lip challenge, which I tried, but I faked it. And it was me oh my God, there's hot sauce. But I was pretending it was blood and stuff like that. Oh my God, it's bad. The Tide Pod challenge.
Oh yeah. Tide Pod challenge was probably one of the worst ones because it was really dangerous. It's detergent, people. Why are you eating detergent? And then now they have on the label no baby, no kid, reaching a container, and it's why do we even need that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't know what type of culture was kind of going on during that time. I don't know what was going on. I don't know who said, hey, this is a good idea to kind of inflict pain on ourselves.
Yeah.
The salt and ice challenge and stuff like that. I tried to do it and I don't know why, but I was why is it not working?
But you tried it.
I tried it, yeah. What about you? What was the challenge you did though?
Challenge I definitely did the bottle flipping stuff and marker flipping. Yeah, the safe ones, the playful ones that didn't cause harm on anybody.
Yeah.
I think I did that a lot. Also, kind of going with that, fidget spinners were super popular, and I have one right here.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love them so much. They're little UFOs.
So those and the little cubes that you could fidget with. Yes. I have one of those too.
Oh my gosh,
but I didn't bring it.
Them.
But yeah, that slime, I was big into making slime and playing with slime. So
slime is such a big, it was such a huge thing. I don't know how it blew up, but the idea of slime and stuff like that, the whole thing. I used to be how to make slime without borax, without glue, without all that stuff. Because I was I don't really feel like buying that. So I was let me get some toothpaste and I don't know, some deodorant.
Soap,
I just got anything to make slime. It would never work. It just smelled like mint and had a weird sloppy consistency.
Yeah.
But slime is really where it counts. I love mushing it together and stuff like that, and just having little silly fun times with it. It was a really fun time. And they used to sell it. People used to have actual markets and sell them as a profit. That's crazy.
Yeah, it really is crazy. And people are still making money off of it, selling it through Instagram, through Etsy, through all these shops, and it's still something that kids like, which is great. It's better than them being on their phones all day. So I think slime and fidget spinners and all of that is a great distraction and a comforting thing. I know for me it was comforting.
Yeah, so. I just hate the food slime because you'll see something, it's for instance, it'd be a burger, and you're that looks good, and then they just crush it up and it's slime. I hate that.
Cake thing?
Yes, oh my gosh, I hate that so much. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And speaking of slime and all that stuff, there were YouTubers that would make a living off of that. So Karina Garcia, a few other ones, and squishies were very popular too. I had a whole collection.
I love squishies. They're I don't know how to describe it. They're literally just little marshmallows and stuff like that, but I love them.
So cute and so fun to play with.
Yeah.
And then speaking of YouTubers as well, there were other ones that we know of, and some of us might have used to love them, like me. So we have Shane Dawson with his conspiracy videos. Those were very popular in that time period. I was obsessed with Shane Dawson, so There's that.
There were a lot of controversial people like Rice Gum and Jake Paul, and they also have the diss tracks.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Team 10.
They call it Catch Me Outside Girl. And
Oh,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
her too, yeah.
Like, ooh, like it used to be bad. Like they had like beefs, like Jake Paul and Logan Paul and stuff like that. Like, those brothers are like, I don't want to give them any flowers or anything, but they kind of made that little end of like 2017, 2018. Because like they blew up from like a lot of stuff. And like I feel like YouTube was at like a renaissance where they were kind of transitioning into like, you know, social media more.
Yeah.
And like I feel like they kind of like blew it up, but also like they were pretty controversial. Like the things that they did, like he literally threw his girlfriend in a pool, said his neighbors, he got on like a news van and then he was like, "What are those?" to the news reporter, like,
oh my god. Yeah, that too, and like damn Daniel and all that
oh
stuff.
my
I hate that. I can't even fathom that even happened.
I hate that sound.
Timmy Tomato is a YouTuber that we know, but like some people out there might not know who he is. So he was one of those YouTubers that would make food and like make them like giant or make them super tiny, like usually like a giant Cheeto out of like Jello and stuff like that.
It's always Jello for some reason. I don't know why it was always Jello. Like I don't understand. Like why would it be Jello? Let's be realistic. Would I eat Jello Takis? Maybe, but that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. It's just it was very odd, but I kind of like the times. Like I kind of miss like watching it when I like came home from like 7th grade and then be like, oh my gosh, I love Timmy Tomato. He's so funny. And like now I'm just like,
Yeah, I used to like him and Miranda Sings too. I used to impersonate her like all the time. And sometimes, you know, still is a habit. But anyway, when we come back from break, we will explore the story of a famous theory and more here on Stray Rats.
Hello, Mrs. Jones.
Hey, CJ.
Coach.
Emma.
Mom.
Last year I experimented with painkillers and then I started taking them every day.
174 days ago, I started intentionally vomiting after meals.
My anterior cingulate cortex has a population of overactive neurons.
Cutting my arms has become a compulsive behavior.
I started having suicidal thoughts.
Can you help me find the proper support and medical resources?
Can you help me research the best treatment facilities?
I'd love to chat with you about ideas on how to help manage this.
Welcome back to Stray Rats. Our next guest, Jaslina Lug, has an interesting conspiracy to discuss with us today, and some music as well. Welcome, Jasleen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Brooke?
I'm good. I'm excited for this topic.
I'm also very excited. I actually learned about this conspiracy back in 6th grade. It was one of my first conspiracies.
Yeah.
I thought it was really crazy. It's about the Beatles. You know, world famous band. They're huge. They're massive. But yeah, essentially this theory is that Paul McCartney actually died in 1966, right as the Beatles were kind of getting up and like becoming really, really famous in a car crash, and that he was replaced by a man named Billy
Shears.
Billy Shears,
in
thank
1969.
you. Yeah, in 1969, and that this conspiracy theory is also kind of aided by some more like Easter eggs and stuff like that. Like I know on the back of the vinyl record of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Paul McCartney is the only one facing backwards and the rest of the members are facing forward. And then like the Abbey Road cover, he's the only one that's out of step with the rest of them.
And he doesn't have shoes on for some reason.
So like people would say that like, oh, John Lennon's a clergyman and then he's a corpse, that's why he has no shoes. But like, y'all, I don't think they were putting this much thought into things.
They were also, if they were though, they were just playing along. Like obviously this isn't a real thing. I mean, like I think we all know and can tell that like the real Paul is still alive and with us. So I think like it was so cool to see the Beatles like play along with this theory. And it was just like really interesting how it all played out.
Well, yeah, exactly, because it got to the point where Paul McCartney had to go on SNL and tell Chris Farley, like, hey, I'm alive, like, guys, I promise.
Yeah.
And, but, you know, John Lennon made his life hell with this a little bit because he didn't help, because in the end of Strawberry Fields Forever, like, if you play the record backwards, he says, Paul is dead, Paul is dead.
Yeah.
In reality, he was singing, like, Cranberry Sauce or something.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah. It was, like, complete opposite, like, so weird. Also, what was I gonna say? Yeah, like they were just playing along with it so much, and like they blatantly said in Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band in one of the in one of the songs, they say they open with the one and only Billy Shears.
Yeah.
So they like just out in the open played along with this.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy.
Yeah, and even in A Day in the Life, which is also
Yeah.
on that album, they talk about someone dying in a car crash really horrifically, and I was like, guys, it's Paul. But yeah, no, Paul has done his best to kind of combat these rumors as much as he can. So it's interesting to see how this is played. It's been, what, 50 years? More now. It's been almost 60 years that this rumor has been rampant, and Paul is just trying to live his life.
Yeah, and some people probably like really believe it. Like I'm
Yeah.
sure there's like some kind of fan club out there that's like for this conspiracy. Like there's no way that there's not. And I learned it probably the same grade that you learned it in. When we were learning about like in music class, like the Beatles and how they revolutionized music, which, you know, they really did. You know,
Yeah.
some people might not like the Beatles and that's okay, but you still have to acknowledge the fact that they like really brought together a bunch of bands and created all this music.
It started a whole new genre of music because this like whole British invasion thing, it blurred the lines between American music and English music, and it made for a fantastic music kind of life through the 70s, the 80s. We had Queen, we had British rock bands in the 80s. To this day, like, look at our common singers, like we have Adele, Harry Styles, and obviously that's also because of like streaming, but
Yeah.
none of this would be necessary or wanted without that original like British invasion in the 60s, which is really, really interesting to look at.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, after this short break, we'll discuss drama and theater with someone who seems to know the ins and outs of Warwick's program.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Welcome back. Here with me now is Shane Crane, one of Warwick's best dancers and sometimes our Wildcat mascot. Hello, Shane. How are you?
It's me. Hi.
Yes. So, how did you get interested in drama and theater in the first place?
I got interested all the way back in 6th grade. My first ever play was called The Phantom Tollbooth, and I was living in New Jersey, Augsburg, New Jersey, and I would have bring the playbook with me today, but let's just say it's such a fragile piece, and not because I didn't take care of it perfectly, and the cover is completely torn off, and papers are, and it's duct taped together, but that's my first ever play that I ever done, and I did like 4 roles in that play. It was like, it was smaller roles, but I still had a lot.
Yeah.
The second play I was part of in the middle school was 7th grade, and the second one was Milan Jr., and I was the villain of the play.
Ooh.
I was Shane Yu.
Interesting. And it makes sense. Like, I don't know, like, I feel like that's a really cool role for you, and
why? Because my name almost sounds like
Shane. It really does. So I think
Yeah.
it's really cool. And being a villain, like, probably is super fun as well.
Yeah.
So why do you love drama?
You just keep talking. I'm going to place my decorations around here if that's okay.
Wait, we gotta show this off.
Yep, we'll show it later. Where's my, oh, there it is.
Xanadu, which just happened a couple months ago. Also, Little Shop of Horrors. Ooh, yeah, very, very cool. Right here. This happened last year. Very, very good play here that happened at the high school. One of the best. So,
Really?
very cool stuff.
Yep.
Memorabilia.
I remember Little Shop of Horrors. I remembered when I wanted to get back into theater, it was something that when it came to junior year, I remember Mr. Leo was like, hey, does anyone want to do stage crew on the loudspeaker? And I was like, I want to go back into the plays. I want to be back into that old habit. And I was like, screw it, let's try stage crew. And I remember doing Little Shop of Horrors. And from the guy that wanted to like lay low and didn't want to do anything, well, not do anything, but like lay low and not be like recognized as much, I became like the most recognizable stage crew member. And as you just saw, the script was all filled out with signatures because that's what I wanted to do after the play was over.
Yeah.
And then when it came to Xanadu, what was shocking was that I actually flipped my card before I was actually alerted to actually be the stage crew. Not stage, yes. Sorry, I'm rambling here, I'm sorry. I was student director for Xanadu, as you may say, and I have this nice little poster here. And something that's always touching to me is that the fact that I got the poster without knowing I was gonna get the poster. And I would say that as doing this in my high school year and like even starting in middle school, it really brings a lot to my heart for like that theater and passion I have with it.
Yeah, so I was just gonna ask you, like, why do you love it so much, you know, being part of Stage Crew and being part of all these productions?
Because I think it's just the fact that I'm always part of something.
Yeah.
It's the fact that there's always like that family bond when he has the theater, and then where you're actually being a character and you have like lines or you're doing something behind the scenes and you're flipping sets on stage. Just being like that part of a group really gets my like happiness going. I love to be part of that. And the fact that when it came to like football, I would say like football was great. I had a great time with it, but I never really felt like part of a team because I never saw myself on the field or got a touchdown or got an interception. So I didn't really feel part of the football team.
Yeah, I think drama and theater is one of those things that is really important for even younger kids in elementary school. I saw like the Jungle Book play at Park Avenue Elementary, and it was great. It was grades kindergarten through 4th grade, and they were all so involved and all dressed up and looked so good. And you could tell that passion and interest can spark from such a young age and turn into something like Little Shop of Horrors or Xanadu. And they're great productions, really.
You want to say Little Shop of Horrors again? This wasn't ready. All right, there we go.
Do you want to talk about Little Shop of Horrors a little bit?
Actually, I want to talk about this video real quick. Let's just simply say, in between these two shows here, Little Shop of Horrors and Xanadu, I did a show called SpongeBob, and this was when the middle school was offering like stage crew help, and that's when one man named Anthony Roca gave me the opportunity, and I loved it. And that was like the first time I really had like an acting like presence within this high school.
Right.
And the video, as you just saw, I kind of accidentally tackled a middle schooler off a stage because the idea was that she jumped a little bit too short while I jumped a little bit too long. And then with that equation, I mean, you told me you're not good at math, but with that equation in mind, it doesn't really add up good.
Yeah.
And I tackled the crap to Patchy. I'm sorry, Patchy, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, SpongeBob, I didn't get to see it, but I am sure it was a great production. That video looked very funny and cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, all the costumes and makeup that goes into this as well, like, we have to recognize that too, because it's not just the production.
Absolutely.
It's also like the artistry of it, I think.
Even like the drama mamas that we have here and with like anyone who helps out with the costumes really should also get appreciated work, as well as stage crew and lighting crew and cast. They also deserve a lot of appreciation because a show wouldn't really happen a show would happen, but it won't be as amazing as it is without the costumes.
Yeah, definitely. So, after this break, let's dive into the world of what it's like to be on-air talent with a sports enthusiast, only on Stray Rats.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
Welcome back to Stray Rats. Joining me now is Theodore Fernandez, WVTV's first sports announcer. Hello, Theodore. How are you?
Well, I'd just like to clarify real quick. I'm not the first.
What do you mean?
There have been announcers before me.
Who?
There were a lot of people doing games, a lot of student-led broadcasts, like Stephen Mealing, who we've seen, who's working over in Illinois right now. Like, there are people who did it before me. So I'm not going to try to say that, I was the first one at Warwick to call games, but I am certainly a sports announcer that exists in the town of Warwick, and I've done games for WVTV, yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get interested in announcing and just being part of video production?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a massive sports fan. Like, if you ask someone one thing about me, a lot of people say, oh, this guy's a sports fan.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I, unfortunately, around the age of 11 years old, came down with a nerve condition, and that kind of stopped me from playing sports. I mean, I was in the hospital for a bunch of months. It took me years to kind of get back to a decent physical level, a lot of setbacks and all that. So basically, I understood by this point, especially by the time I was in high school, sophomore, junior year, that, okay, I'm never going to be in the NBA. I'm never going to be a pro athlete. But I still love sports, so I still decided, you know what? I want to go out and I want my profession to be involved in sports. And then I got here to the school and I learned about the video production program. So that is really what took the idea of sports and sports broadcasting from like a passion to, okay, this is what I want to do. Like it took it all the way up to that level.
Yeah, definitely. And I can definitely relate to this because I also do like being on-air talent and doing Wildcat News and stuff like that. So I had that interest at a young age as well. And, you know, I didn't have anything like that interrupt my timeline, I guess you could say. So it really is a hardship that you had to go through that. But I'm glad that you're here and that you're interested in announcing, and we can relate on that. So what do you love most about it? Because I know I could probably go on and on about it, but what do you love most about it?
Well, I love the feeling it gives. I mean, and this doesn't just go for live broadcasting. It goes for any production thing. Like, you get that feeling of pressure that I feel like the only other time you get it is by playing sports. Like, it's just this whole rush of emotions. Like, now, we're crewing the show, and you'll see 6 of us or 5 of us on the show plus Brooke. Mm-hmm. And the 5 of us are all cycling out through roles. Like, we're running all over the place, making sure the show happens and looks good production-wise. So even doing stuff like that, you get that same feeling because, I mean, 10 minutes ago, I was running the video, rolling tracks, and then a couple minutes later, I was directing, and now I'm out here on set. So it's like you get that whole feeling, the whole rush of, okay, I have to make this happen, and I have to make this happen fast, otherwise we won't get a good product. And I just love that feeling of pressure that you get with anything production related, and then sports broadcasting has the added bonus of, okay, I'm around the sports and players and teams that I love as well.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of the productions, you know, in studio and sports and stuff like that, and then going to be doing some concerts soon, so I can definitely get a whole feel of all of it, and I can definitely understand the pressure of even doing a behind-the-scenes job like directing or technical director. You know, a lot of people at home watching this might not know what goes into a production, but, you know, it really is a lot of pressure and cycling through things very quickly and working efficiently. So yeah, I definitely have enjoyed it, and I think you have as well. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's been the highlight of my high school.
Yeah,
here,
definitely.
Without a doubt.
So coming up next, we'll take a look at an industrial rock band from the 80s with a fan of rock music.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Joining me in the studio is John Murphy, a super fan of rock and metal music. Welcome, John.
Hi. This is my second time being on this. I'm talking about another band I really like because, you know, I feel like music's the only thing I can talk about in length, which I don't really care. I was originally going to talk about me playing guitar, but I kind of shelved that indefinitely. Maybe next month, but who knows.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm very intrigued by this topic. I think this band seems pretty cool, and I don't know much about them, so you're going to have to educate me and the audience about, you know, them. So what's their name and what's their backstory?
They're called Ministry. They formed in the 80s. They're fronted by Al Jorgensen, who I think I probably look up to a lot. You know, he seems like someone I want to be around, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I brought some of their albums on CD. I got these over the summer. These two I got together. This is their second album, Twitch. This is their fifth, if I remember correctly, Psalm 69. And this is their third, The Land of, I would say the full name, but
inappropriate.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, very cool. You want to show it off to the audience real quick?
Yeah, so, I guess I'll go in like the order they released. So this is their second album, Twitch. It took a very, in one different direction from their first album with Sympathy, which was very new wavy.
Okay.
He decided to experiment with more aggressive industrial sound, and they're mainly known today for being an industrial band. I like this album a lot. I I think it gets pretty overlooked. Like, it doesn't really get talked about that much. And then this is their third album, the one they came after Twitch, The Land. I'm not gonna say the full name.
Yeah.
This is my favorite Ministry album. I think it's really good. Like, it's really good. I think if I were to, like, if someone were to tell me, like, oh, I know you're into Ministry, can you give me a starting point and be like, oh, definitely gotta start with this one.
Okay.
They were highly influential on Nine Inch Nails, which you can see on my shirt. Yeah, Trent very much looked up to Al. Al was the reason why Trent decided to start making music. Ministry was very influential on the first Nine Inch Nails album.
What other bands could you maybe relate Ministry to? Just for people that don't know who Ministry is, like myself. What are some other bands that are kind of similar to them?
Similar sound.
Nine Inch Nails, probably, right?
Because I don't know if I could really try to connect them to another band outside of industrial.
Okay.
But, yeah, I don't know.
They're like their own thing, kind of?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Well, it's really cool, and it's a really interesting topic. Like, I myself am a music enthusiast. So, yeah, very cool stuff. So how did you get into liking rock and metal music overall?
I grew up with it. I really only started to get into, like, the more extreme kinds of music, like metal, mainly last year. Because, like, I always slept on it, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I mean, I did kind of listen to it before then, but it was, like, some of the more mainstream bands, like Van Halen or Guns N' Roses, Led Zeppelin, too. Yeah, I guess that's really it.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin's a great band, Van Halen, all of those bands are very good and influential for a lot of bands today. And you probably know, like, a lot of younger kids in our generation are going back to making and listening to that type of music. So, not all kids our age are listening to rap. They're going back to 80s metal and, grunge and all of that. So it's very, very cool stuff. So unfortunately, this episode of Stray Rats has come to a close, but keep on the lookout for another episode coming up in June. Once again, I've been your host, Brooke Holzhauer, wishing you a good night.
These are the moments that bring us to our feet. The anticipation, the tradition, the foul ball, the 15 seconds of fame, the big catch, the game-winning home run. But the most important moment happens when we all stand together.
Join us as we stand up to show our support for loved ones affected by cancer.
Visit standuptocancer.org/MLB.
Stand up with us.
Stand up with us.
Stand up with us.
Stand up with us.